While Yo-Yo's scan has confirmed she's expecting twins, 2 other pandas don't appear to be pregnant and are being moved. Even though Shishi mated with Lulu in the spring, unusually it wasn't a success. Yo-Yo's new neighbour is Duchess. A 4-year-old, she's one of Princess's first cubs and will join the breeding group next spring, when it's hoped she'll make Princess a grandmother for the first time. But Yo-Yo doesn't take kindly to the newcomer and makes her feelings felt. Duchess decides to keep out of Yo-Yo's way at the other side of her pen. Then suddenly, Yo-Yo stops growling at Duchess and starts making a different noise. She's moaning and showing the first signs of going into labour at last. The first task is to persuade Yo-Yo to go inside. They're cautious in case her condition makes her aggressive. It's not unknown for pandas to lash out and cause serious injury. In the wild, pandas retreat to a cave or den to give birth, and the indoor pen serves the same purpose. It also means that she's easier to reach if something goes wrong. Although Yo-Yo is obviously going into labour soon, her waters haven't broken, and that may take some time. Not that many of Yo-Yo's fellow residents are terribly concerned about time. Even in the wild, for up to 18 hours a day, a panda's pace of life is pretty slow. They eat efficiently and don't exert themselves too much. Late in the day, after Wulong has closed, there's a small patch of liquid on the floor of Yo-Yo's pen. Wu takes samples to check and confirms that Yo-Yo's waters have broken and she's going into the final stages of labour. It's after 6 in the evening and most of Wulong's keepers and staff have already left for the day. But even though this is expected to be the last birth of the season, and nearly a dozen cubs have already been born, it's still a special event, and many members of staff come back to the centre. There's a tense atmosphere because the last birth was a breach and the cub could have died. One of the problems of repeated success is there's a risk of regarding panda births as routine. At Wulong there's no room for such complacency, as even the best laid plans of men and pandas can go awry. Yo-Yo's labour is in stark contrast with Mau Mau's, the last panda who gave birth. She was quiet and reserved. Yo-Yo is highly agitated. She starts banging against the window. It's toughened glass and hopefully won't break or splinter. To everyone's relief, they don't have to wait more than a couple of hours for the first cub to be born. It happens suddenly, while Yo-Yo's back is turned. The keepers only know about the birth when the cub announces its own arrival. Once the cub has settled, they need to take it from Yo-Yo. Partly to check that it's okay, and partly to keep Yo-Yo free for giving birth to the other twin. But Yo-Yo, of course, doesn't know any of this, and naturally doesn't want to let go of her baby. But weak and exhausted by the labour, she's defeated by Wu's persistence. The cub is snatched away, leaving Yo-Yo looking bewildered and almost as if she'd imagined having a baby. Thankfully, the other young cubs in the nursery haven't started hearing yet and remain sweetly oblivious to the uproar from the new arrival. The checks at the nursery confirm that the cub is, as thought, perfectly healthy, and Yo-Yo can now have a break before giving birth a second time. No one knows how long or short that break will be. For hours, Yo-Yo dispels any doubts about the distress and agony of her labour. At midnight, 6 long hours after the first cub was born, the keepers decide to help Yo-Yo by inducing the second baby. The drug should take effect very quickly, within a few minutes. But a quarter of an hour later, it obviously hasn't worked, and Yo-Yo simply rolls over and eventually goes to sleep, while her keepers struggle to stay awake. Finally, after dawn breaks, at around 5:30, "12 hours after Yo-Yo's first cub was delivered, its twin has been born." But the silence is ominous. The cub is stillborn. Then, to the keeper's horror, he realizes that Yo-Yo isn't licking the cub anymore. Yo-Yo's behaviour, though repugnant even to her keeper, is completely natural. In the wild, the second twin would have died anyway. Wulong has successfully increased the overall survival rate of panda cubs, mainly by rearing twins, something that would never happen in the wild. In this case, Mother Nature has prevailed.